For 14 years, I truly believed that it was all my fault. I mean, why wouldn't I? He truly believed it. You see, the problem wasn't about him lying, cheating, disappearing for hours, even days, at least once a week. You see, the problem was actually my reaction to it, with the way I expect not to be lied to and react to it. So when it switched from emotional to physical, it wasn't a far stretch that that was my fault too. So when he disappeared for a whole evening in February of 2017, and then came home after a night of drinking and likely more, he was angry. I was angry. We were angry. And he ended up running his car into mine. I called 911. He was arrested and charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault. He called me that night from the jail, explaining that it was my fault. He didn't mean to do that. It was my fault. I had security camera footage and still do. And even though I could see that it was not my fault, I still chose to stand behind him. So that sounds crazy, but if you haven't lived it or you don't understand it, just try to take this as a learning experience rather than making it about judgment. Looking back on it, it seems completely unhinged. How could that happen? How could I believe that? How could I choose to care more about somebody else than myself? I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that I called and hired an attorney to be there the very next morning to get him out, telling him I just overreacted. And I saw that through to the end. We went through hearings. All he needed to do was anger management. And on the last hearing date, he had recorded him and I having an argument and took it in to court with us, trying to get the attorney that I hired to listen to it so that he would understand I'm crazy and no one should believe me. The attorney refused to listen and looked at him as if he were crazy. He got away with only anger management class, but on the last day that the essays were due, after watching all the videos, he called me from work and said he didn't have time to do it and I would need to complete it for him. I wish I had learned then, because if I had, I wouldn't have gotten burned a year and 10 months later in another alcohol and drug-fueled rage. Looking back, I'm hard on myself because I wish that I had seen that through as the crime that it was, and I wouldn't be burned now, but I can't live in that shame and regret for something that was done to me because I was a good person. I want you to know that you should not feel ashamed or responsible for it either. That only continues the cycle of abuse and keeps you trapped and in a very dangerous position. You should just reach out for help like I did last year. Even though it took a year to get to a safe space, it did happen. I was never even questioned about what happened that night. He was questioned about it, and the case was closed a few hours later, stating that I had suffered 3rd-degree burns from a flare. And it wasn't at all like crime TV, because when I awoke from the coma, no one was there to question me at all. I never saw the police report until earlier this year, after he had me arrested. You see, he's the victim now. It's a really twisted situation. And I want you to know that whatever your abuser tries to make you feel or tries to do to you, there are people who understand and who will help you. I love y'all. And remember that whatever you're going through, this too shall pass.